Teyba xanım, xoş gəlmisiniz. Societe General'ın Azərbaycandakı nümayəndəsi, düz dedim?
Çok sağ olun.
Buyurun.
Bəli, danışacağım. Çok sağ olun. Hello everyone. Wow, such a crowd. Speakers. I was really thinking of what I'm going to say from the stage. Because first of all, Tatiana puts me out of my comfort zone because I have to tell my story. And I had to think about what I'm going to tell as my story. But then I actually like very much to be out of my comfort zone. And it's not because I was like this from the very beginning, not at all, far from this. But because I learned how to have fun with it, you know? And it's very important that you turn it into fun for yourself. And it became my favorite sport. I have a few favorite sports. I'll tell you a little bit about this. But to start with, I am indeed in the banking my whole life, been in the banking. Sounds a bit boring, but I've been in a local bank. Worked for 3 years when I was a student. It was a part-time job. Fantastic years. And then I understood that I'm not seen there. I will never be seen there because I have a shadow of my parents who both been into banking sector, always been there, been very known. And I understood that I will always be their daughter. And I told to myself, this will be too comforting for me. So I have to be somewhere else where nobody knows who I am. And then I will have to prove to myself if I can do anything, really. What am I? Who am I? But just a little bit far, going back, I was thinking when Tatiana said that I have to tell my story. So I was thinking what I'm going to tell. Do I start from the school and then to tell that I entered the university when it was the worst period of our country's history, war, collapse of Soviet Union, collapse of the system, collapse of everything. And of course, there are too many young women here in the audience. Of course, you cannot relate to that, and it's good. I'm happy that you cannot. But for those who can, banking sector or the learning to become a banker was by far not for women. And I was the best student at school. And you know, everyone was expecting me to become a doctor or a teacher or, I don't know, a diplomat. And when I decided to go to banking, that was already quite strange. So I did it. I like it. I enjoy what I do. And it's been a long journey, of course. So that's where I started. And where am I today? I'm a country head I'm a region head for a large region for one of the largest international banking groups in the world. And I'm a head of the region which covers Central Asia and Caucasus countries. And yes, I'm a woman. And yes, I'm Azerbaijani nationality. And yes, it wasn't very obvious for a French bank to have a local woman responsible for the region. That was quite new. But, you know, I'm not going to tell you the story of how I went there and how I reached there. What I wanted to tell you, and then I decided exactly what I'm going to share with you, is that, you know, there are lots of similarities. I've heard so many excellent stories today, fantastic stories. And, you know, after that, it's very difficult to actually to come up with something that you can probably enjoy or learn. But I think then, and that's what I do every day, you know, and that's what I'm talking to my younger female co-workers and people who work with me, is that, you know, you just carry on through everything. And, you know, what helped me was simple question. You know, when there was a new challenge, I was asking myself a question. What is the worst thing going to happen if I do it. I'm going to fail? Yeah. My ego going to hurt? Oh, yeah. But will I survive? Hell yeah, I will. So I'll do it. This is the question that I'm asking myself every time I have a new challenge. So, and the challenge can be different. The challenge can be work, corporate life, it is family, of course, children, big time, juggling with all those stuff, because we are from Azerbaijan. We know that everything is expected from women to be perfect daughter, sister, mother, wife, and then comes the rest of her interests, etc. At least that was many years ago. That was the case. I hope now it's very much improving, and that's the proof. So many women we have here. So, but that was a question that I'm asking even today, even today when I was thinking of what I'm going to do. I have so many friends and relatives and people I know. I have them in this room. So I thought that, well, I have a responsibility in front of them, I have my coworkers, my fellow workers, and, well, I have to tell something that will help young women and young ladies, girls, to carry on, to dare, not to be afraid. I mean, it's always scary, but you can get through it. What's going to happen? What is the worst thing that can happen? Will you survive it? Yes, you will, And then I hear the stories here. I'm not going to name them, but, the stories are amazing, and it's a proof that we can really do. And yes, it's scary, but we can get there. So, just a few tips from my life and, what I was doing. I had some tough times, yes, when women, as Tatiana say, are the worst enemies. Yes, I lived that. I referred to Lauren's story on politics, that we have to deal with that. Indeed, we do. So there are so many similarities, and all these stories I can tell you endlessly. What is interesting is that another favorite sport of mine, I made it my favorite sport, is to prove that women can be professional, they are smart, and they can do job that historically only men were doing, and especially in the financial world. Doing this job in the countries, in the region that we're working in, it's a post-Soviet countries with some mentalities that are quite similar, but at the same time very different. It was quite fun, to see at the meeting that you are the only woman in the room full of men. They don't see you. They think you're there because you're an assistant or you are interpreter or assistant again, you're going to make minutes, and then you wait a moment, or you wait the right moment, and you start talking, and you see their faces changing, their attitude changing, and I have to tell you that, I think men handled it with a lot of dignity, because, to take a hit from a woman, that's quite a hit, but after that, they do respect you. They actually do. So you can do it. But to do that, you have to work on yourself, of course. So I have very simple tips, nothing special. I'm doing it from the very young ages. I'm learning a new thing every day. One new thing that I have to learn every day, no matter the sector, no matter what it is about. But I have to learn, and it's becoming a habit. So you're learning all the time, you're reading, you're watching, you're listening, you meet people, you try to learn something new. And then if you are in the profession, be professional. Learn everything about your profession. Learn everything that is beyond your job description, really. What are the other people doing in your organization? Why they're doing it this way? Try to understand what they do and learn from them. And then when you come to the point where you believe that you can do more, you go and say that you know that you can do more, and you take this challenge. You ask for yourself, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? That I'm going to fail? Okay, I can always go back. I can go back to my family. I can resign. I can stop doing this. I can just go back, sit home, and do nothing. Yeah? So there's always a safe space. But you do, and you go there. You ask yourself this question. If the answer is that, yeah, you can survive it, of course, do it. Try. So I did it when I believed that my job in terms of doing business in Azerbaijan for the group that I'm representing is already at maximum. So I went to my boss and I said that I can do it in another country as well. Let's try it. And it was the first time when the bank decided to have a person responsible for 2 offices in different countries, but having a single person. Because usually the person should have been based and reside in the country that it is covered. And my boss said, well, yeah, okay, let's try. And I said, well, the worst thing that it will not work. In a year's time, we rethink it, and you go back to the previous, setup. You find someone to appoint. And we tried, and it was a lot of fun because, as I said, that became my favorite sport. To come an Azerbaijani, to be an Azerbaijani woman coming to Kazakhstan, let's say, matured, big country, male-dominated, Muslim, very proud of their size, of their standing, and trying to do business there, knowing nobody there. And it takes time. It takes a lot of time and a lot of efforts. But when they see that you are there, you are committed, you know what you're talking about, you actually understand very well, you can bring solutions. You're just not just going there to sell your product, but you're thinking, you can listen to what they have to say, understand their issues, and then to try to find a solution with them. They trust you. And the trust brings me business. And I travel a lot. My kids are not happy. My husband is not happy with that. They want me to be more present at home. But they respect and they support it because they see that I get a lot of energy out of this. And the business that I do, banking is different. Everyone thinks about only credits, but we do lots of interesting things. So, I feel very proud when I see a London taxi in Baku, and that was the project that I financed. The electrical buses in Baku, that was the project that I financed. The power plants, pipelines, and then railways, and so on and so forth. Wind power stations. And now we're going even more into the social and environmental projects, and I'm very, very excited about it because that's very interesting. And if money can help do things and, actually support fantastic businesses that we've seen today, I think that's a good job. That's a job done. So, I don't have a lot of time. I would be happy to actually talk to anyone who wants to discuss more about job in the financing sector. I have to tell just one thing, that I'm always asking myself a question, like every few years, I'm asking myself what I want to do next. Yeah, I don't want to stay in the comfort zone. I want to learn, so I'm studying now. I'm thinking about the next path. The region is very big, so either I stay in this region or I go somewhere else. But then what do I do with the family and how the family will take it? So, I have to, juggle all the time. But that's good. That's also my favorite sport, I just cannot stop doing this. But, I have 3 kids, and, the elder one is 25, the youngest one is 8, so I'm at school and at the same time thinking about, marriage of my elder son, so, the variety and the spectrum is very vast. But, you know, as I said, this is my favorite sport. What's the worst thing that can happen? Will I survive it? I will.